Hey y'all, we are back with another dense update. This update is sponsored by Biomax Peptides and Herd Athletics. Here we go. So just a few things that I've seen on Instagram lately. Coffee Pods and Wads posted this reel talking about rats. Seems to be coming up a lot lately, hasn't it?
As soon as the owner changes, just watch and see what rats get back on the ship and which ones actually have conviction, and sit and watch and see.
I know two names that come to mind when I watched it. I also saw this post with Chris Ibarra and Olivia Kerstetter. New power couple maybe? Who knows? And then this posted by the Barbell Spin, Noah Olson. After 10 years of doing the CrossFit Games, just now realizes that the CrossFit Games doesn't exist without the methodology.
The methodology can exist without the sport. The sport cannot exist without the methodology, I guess. I don't know if I've ever made that connection in my mind.
And then the Will Morad Friendly posting a story of a Q&A at a North Scottsdale CrossFit gym, asking about their favorite flavors of ice cream. Nobody cares. Last week I talked about BCS Classic, and then I posted an anonymous link to my Instagram story. I was overwhelmed with the amount of messages that I got. People wanting to know about past stories that I just don't think are worth bringing up. People giving information that I hadn't heard yet. And somebody sent me this about something that happened in the male-female elite division at BCS Classic. So going into the final event, CrossFit SDA had won every single event of the competition. Some of the events, they beat them by well over a minute. Like, it wasn't even close. They just absolutely spanked the Heart and Hustle team. However, because the Heart and Hustle team did take second on every single event, there was only a 16-point spread between the two teams. If it had been P-score, it wouldn't even be close. And going into the final event, BCS Classic only took the top 5 teams. And the scoring for that final event, first place in the event would be awarded 100 points. Second place would be awarded 75 points. So then the final event comes. They're rep for rep. They're neck and neck. The SDA team finishes their last snatch first. They go to run to the finish line. They lost by 1 second in that final event because of the finish line debacle. Total shit show. They started at the front on a first barbell with 30 reps, moved to another barbell, 20 reps, moved to the final barbell, 10 reps. It would make sense for them to then run it back into the start, because on the other half of the floor was another division going on. Make them go all the way back to the starting line where the gate and the fans are. That was not the case. Now, I get it. It's a competition. These kind of things happen. And I guess when they got on the podium, the third place team in that division, who also attends SDA, the gentleman said to the winners, who ended up being Heart and Hustle, something along the lines of, I don't know how you can be proud of that, or something to that effect. I don't think that the team should necessarily be bickering at each other about it. It really does fall on the event organizers. And I'm pretty sure everyone in the audience is thinking, oh shit, that sucks. To me, score every single event the same. I mean, that's how the CrossFit Games works. It's just unfortunate all around. Hopefully these teams don't hold any animosity to each other, and maybe next year at BCS Classic, they won't have that scoring system for the final event. Now, yesterday on the regular Wednesday Barbell Spin episode, Tyler was mad.
That media is garbage. You look at any company he's associated with, they do not have a productive output of media. They don't create anything new, anything interesting. They're not preaching a fun narrative.
They talked about the Rich Froning podcast with Sevan, and if Rich were to split away.
So say he has 25% of affiliates, right? And he leaves. That breaks down the system. But he can pull together guys like Khalipa. He has great relations with people in Europe. He has a decent amount of affiliates in Europe and across the world.
They talked about Move Max a little bit, or Wove Wax, and Malik being the man that's brokering the deal with his investors to buy CrossFit. Tyler does take a pretty hard stance against Malik.
He has openly stated, if you look through the French podcast that he did, anything that he's put out on MoveMax, he does not understand the methodology and therefore will not go on the crusades that we want. He's talked about.
Tyler also makes some predictions.
My first prediction is somebody buys it and the entire thing collapses within 3 years. Everybody starts leaving. Rich pulls out and the entire CrossFit ecosystem disintegrates within 3 years.
And they did bring up the potentially estranged relationship.
Where does Facundo fall into this? Because he's
out.
There's some stuff going on, man. I don't think we're at liberty. So Tyler, do you want to do that?
I have no idea, so I don't know.
I hear he's on the way out.
I hear he's out,
which makes sense. Like if you're burned by Malik, and you were the guy that.
Ooh, that's a better way to put it. Facundo's team Malik. And Rich is not Team Malik.
Now, Rich didn't say anything specific about Facundo on the podcast with Sevan the other day. He talked about Malik. He said, hey, Malik's a good guy.
I think Malik is a good person. On a personal level, I still think highly of him, but
he also did say that he doesn't think that Malik is the one pulling the strings necessarily.
I don't think he's the one always pulling the strings, right? And so maybe leave it at that. But I just
business and friendships are sticky and messy.
It didn't work out, right? Business and friendship and those types of things are sometimes sticky and messy, and some people see things some way and some the other. And so we got out, and
he spares Facundo's name, but it kind of gives me the idea that there's something there that's not being said.
Early on, you think you see one thing, and then as soon as business changes, power, money, business changes people, right? And sometimes for the good, sometimes for the worse. And I think, I've definitely learned a lot in the last since probably February about how all this stuff works.
I think Hiller mentioned this in one of his recent videos. It's the off season. There's not a whole lot to talk about, so people are going to be stirring the pot wherever they can. The media, we're probably the best at stirring the pot, right? Maybe people are blowing this whole thing out of proportion. Maybe everything will be fine. But until then, we're just going to have to keep waiting because nobody ever just wants to say it like it is. Now, the other day on the Clydesdale Media Lunch Show, he mentioned that he heard a rumor.
I heard a wild rumor this weekend at the age group games. The WFP is going to go exclusive next year, and they are upping the amount of money they are offering the athletes to pull as many of them away from the CrossFit season as possible.
Now, if you remember when this all got started, Tyler from the Barbell Spin, he knew that Will was asking athletes for exclusivity.
When you roll that in with the fact that we know that they were pushing for exclusivity in the beginning, and then they were like, well, never mind. After the athletes freaked out, I would imagine that it is something they're working towards.
Then we know Victor Hoffer did the interview in French, and he said that his agent told him in 2026 they were going to ask for exclusivity.
The World Fitness Project will have said that in 2026 we won't necessarily be able to do both. We will have a private contract where you can only do the complex.
And then Will calls the Barbell Spin.
Well, I got a phone call right after that.
Oh, snap. I've gotten a couple of those
from before. Mr. Morad himself. He said that they have not talked about 2026, that they're too busy focusing on 2025. However, but he's talked to agents and said, look, way down the road, if we were like super successful, maybe there's a chance we go to exclusivity at some point.
Either Will's been lying this whole entire time, or he's since changed his mind. Like he changed the drug testing policy when one of his athletes was microdosing in competition. So I guess the question is now, if they do choose to go exclusive, what athletes are going to take the money? Because it's rumored to be a lot more money than what they were offered this year. Who is going to give up being a CrossFit Games athlete and to go and be a part of the circus? It was kind of funny. I did see a comment in there. One guy seriously said he didn't even know what the WFP was. The Will Morad Friend League Tour Stop 2 in Mesa, Arizona is happening this weekend. Again, you got to watch it on their website. I think Boys Interrupted is doing a live podcast before that. Not really anyone else doing anything down there. I guess follow along on Instagram and the website. Barbell Spin did say they have some insiders, so I'm sure they'll be posting some content I will keep my eye out for anything that I think you guys might want to see, so you can follow along on my Instagram as well. And finally, I did see that Grant of Keeping It Real finally responded. He's quiet for a few days. If you're just going to give me all of your excuses as to why you think it's okay to be shady and to give out athletes scores during the open and all of these other things, then the accountability just falls flat for me. I know that when he first started the phone call, he threw everyone else under the bus. So I think I got through 15 minutes of it or so, and then I just turned it off. Looks like you haven't really learned too much from that.
That dense bitch?